Before I get started on why I believe the attack on the Georgia Guidestones is clearly, it's this whole QAnon thing. Well, okay. Before I get into why I believe the attack on the Georgia Guidestones was clearly an attack by crazy people, okay, that adhere to things like the QAnon concepts of conspiracy and things like this, and this is really a rehash of the satanic panic of the 1980s and 90s. They're just using, like, their thing now is the World Economic Forum and the UN, NATO. And this is the same kind of thing. I think that a lot of this probably can be traced to disinformation campaigns from Russia. This is what Russia does. This is how Russia fights wars. During the Cold War, there was a lot of disinformation campaigns against the American public, and a lot of people were stupid enough to believe it. But let's go on here. So I want to actually get into what the Georgia Guidestones actually say, because everybody gets freaked out about this. Now, what I want to explain here, the one that really gets people crazy is the depopulation thing. But what I want to explain here, number one, the Georgia Guidestones are actually they're private property. This was an attack on somebody's property. Okay? Now, the thing that really freaks people out is this whole depopulation thing here. And I'm a transhumanist, and the Georgia Guidestones do promote transhumanism. They support the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Why don't I agree with this alleged depopulation, and why do so many other transhumanists not agree with this depopulation scheme? Well, the reason why is it's not necessary. The Earth can sustain a lot more people if we implement things like desalination, vertical farming, automation. There's a lot of things. I want to remind people that different people have different views of transhumanism. And I'm going to break down different websites and different individuals that promote transhumanism in future videos. So, the first is the depopulation thing. The next is guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Again, guide reproduction wisely. Now, this is classical eugenics, but it doesn't have to be with technology. You have to understand the Georgia Guidestones are a little bit old, but we have genetic technology whereby we can improve the stock of the human population without any crazy schemes, okay? It's simply by using genetic medicine. Unite humanity with a living new language. Yeah, I think it might be convenient if, next time I go to the mall, I don't hear 37,000 different languages being spoken and I understand only one of them. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Meaning, be reasonable. Don't be crazy. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. That sounds horrible, doesn't it? Oh my God, fairness and just courts. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Again, this is to stop wars. Oh my God, sounds terrible. Heaven forbid we have world peace. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Meaning, you don't want ridiculous laws that are worthless, that don't mean a damn, that are, basically policing every little aspect of people's lives. And avoid useless officials that are unnecessary. I think Dr. Fauci might be one of those people, but that's just what I'm saying. Balance personal rights and social duties. That makes sense. Okay, you have rights, you also have duties. There's responsibilities you have. Okay? That makes sense. Prize truth, beauty, love, and seeking of harmony with the infinite, meaning seeking of harmony with God. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Does that sound that bad? Does that really sound horrible? I know the depopulation thing scares people. I'm explaining right now that's not a necessity. Different people interpret things differently. Now that I did that, I'm going to get into what this attack was. In the 1970s, so that's when this dates back to. Remember, I said that the alleged depopulation was not necessary. But remember, Robert C. Christian, who's a pseudonym for a gentleman that commissioned the Guidestones on behalf of a small group of loyal Americans who believe in God, small group of loyal Americans who believe in God. Remember, harmony with the infinite. Altogether, the 6 granite slabs stood roughly 19 feet tall and served as a sundial and astronomical calendar. The stones were etched with messages in a dozen languages, including English and Babylonian cuneiform. Many conspiracy theorists have pointed to their commandment-like inscriptions, such as the instruction to maintain humanity at 500 million in perpetual balance with nature as evidence of a shadowy cabal that controls the world. Others simply admired the enormous landmark as a testament to the craftsmen of the granite capital. Apparently I used up my reading of The Economist, so let me move on. Too many people don't want to talk about Christian extremism. Okay? Christian extremism is very real. Christian extremism is very dangerous. People that are younger don't remember the murder of abortion doctors and women that were having abortions and everything else in the 80s and 90s and going back further. This is not the way to get a point across. Okay, you don't get a pro-life point across by murdering people, but that's what Christian extremists do. Now, the QAnon conspiracy theory helped to motivate the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. Now, my point of view on that is they don't talk about the Black Lives Matter insurrection at all, or do they even call Black Lives Matter an insurrection? But they blow out of proportion the conspiracy theory that helped to motivate the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. With me, I want to talk more about the conspiracy theory and the danger that people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and Donald Trump and the Trump family and all these people are promoting this half-baked kookery, and nobody gives a damn that it has reached the highest parts of our government. This absolute ridiculous nonsense has reached the highest points of our government. Okay, so as evangelical pastors throughout the country ache over the spread of the conspiracy theory among their flocks and its very real human toll, it's worth asking whether the time has come for a new wave of outreach to religious communities, this time aimed at evangelical Christians. Look, it's always been time to explain to evangelical Christians, you motherfuckers are crazy. I've done it. I flat out told them. Okay, and I've met some crazy-ass evangelical Christians. I think all Christians, I mean, if they're going to say some of the shit that they say, somebody needs to say, look, you motherfuckers are crazy. I personally believe, since I came from these communities to try to figure out blah, blah, blah. Newman, who was raised in the evangelical tradition as a devout Christian, her knowledge, blah, blah, blah. She sees QAnon's popularity among certain segments of Christendom not as an apparition, but as the troubling but natural outgrowth of a strain of American Christianity. In this tradition, one's belief is based less on scripture than on conservative culture. Some political disagreements are seen as having nigh apocalyptic stakes, and a strong authoritarian streak runs through the faith. For this type of believer, love of God and love of country are sometimes seen as one and the same. Christian nationalism is a huge theme throughout evangelical Christendom. Now, if you read the Constitution, any moron will be able to quickly tell that the God of the Constitution is more similar to, say, Wakantanka, the great spirit of the Lakota, than, say, the God of the Bible. Now, the God of the Constitution is the God of the Bible, is the God of the Quran, is the God of the Torah, and is Wakantanka, and is Brahman. Okay? The God of the Constitution is the Masonic interpretation of God. People don't like, oh, Masonic. Oh, it's Masonry. Oh, blah, 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 blah. The guy that created the Constitution's name was Thomas Jefferson. He was a Mason. The idea is that God, the infinite, remember, harmony with the infinite, God, the infinite, transcends culture, transcends humanity. Okay? So that's what's important to remember, is God is everybody's God. Not just the Christian God, but everybody's God. Seen in cataclysmic terms, blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm going to get into, hold on here. The U.S. needs de-radicalization for Christian extremists. No shit. In a video, blah, 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 blah. I wanted to get inside so I could plead the blood of Jesus. So I could plead the blood of Jesus over it. I just felt like the Spirit of God wanted me to go in the Senate room. Now, this is what's known as being fucking crazy. That's who's always doing these crazy fucking things. It's always somebody having a two-way radio conversation with God. You ever notice that? Ever notice that? That's usually who's doing this crazy shit. Or they're just psychotic in another way. But it's generally somebody that is religiously obsessed, having a fucking mental breakdown that wants to plead the blood of Jesus over something. Or is a crazy Muslim extremist. One or the other. Black would storm the Capitol in the belief that he was carrying out God's will. Should come as no surprise to anyone who has followed the troubling relationship between it's not just white evangelical Christians and conspiracy theories. I want to make that very clear. The QAnon nonsense is multi-ethnic, multiracial, and I think it's crazy that they don't mention the Hoteps. And I've already done a video on the Hoteps, but the Hoteps are a black, I would say, neo-pagan movement that is also instrumental in preaching the QAnon horseshit. Okay, but they're black supremacists also. So, research has shown that half of all Americans, regardless of religion, believe in at least one conspiracy theory, regardless of religion. It's not just Christians. Religious people, however, are particularly acceptable to conspiracy theories due to their belief in the supernatural and their endorsement of good versus evil worldview. I think the good versus evil worldview is very important. One of the things that I think makes me less susceptible to a lot of kooky nonsense is I do see nuance. I see nuance very well. I don't see things in terms of good versus evil. I'm a big fan of Nietzscheism. Not really. I'm not a Nietzschean. I'm not a big fan of Friedrich Nietzsche. But I grew up, being that my father was a Satanist, I grew up knowing about Nietzsche. I grew up knowing about Ayn Rand. I grew up knowing that things are not always black and white. There is nuance. There is no good and evil. Evil is what's in the hearts of people. Evil is what people do. Okay? Evil is not some supernatural thing, and neither is good. Good and evil are natural. Good and evil are somewhat subjective. Okay? And it's nuanced. Okay, in the weeks and months following the 2020 presidential election, pastors nationwide worried that members of their congregation were rapidly incorporating conspiracy theories into their worldviews. No shit. No shit. Could it be because people like, what's his name, Ron Parsley, and the asshole from the 700 Club, Pat Robertson, and these dipshits have been promoting conspiracy theories for decades upon decades upon decades. If you look at fucking Ron Parsley and Pat Robertson, I don't see much difference between the shit they promote and Jim Jones. They're all fucking nuts. I mean, flat out. Religious people are particularly susceptible to conspiracy theories. Yes, duh. Okay. Oh, I'm getting kicked out. Am I? No. Okay, good. Evangelical Christians are not a monolith on the whole. They represent a broad spectrum of social and political viewpoints, blah, 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 blah. I know that. A lot of evangelical Christians are disgustingly liberal. A lot of evangelical Christians, including so-called conservative evangelical Christians, are pro-gay, pro-trans, everything weird, okay? But the point is, yeah, I believe that they need to be de-radicalized, okay? Though QAnon conspiracy theories are not unique to Christianity, evangelical Christians have embraced bogus claims with unusual enthusiasm in days surrounding the Capitol. Yeah, I do think that's important, but they're not bringing up the Hoteps. They're not bringing up the Hoteps or Blacks for Trump. Or that crazy-ass motherfucker Jesse Lee Peterson. Former military general Michael Flynn, who pleaded guilty twice to making false statements to the FBI during the Mueller investigation, only to later be pardoned by Trump. See that? Made false statements to the FBI because he knew Trump was going to pardon him, has emerged as one of Trump's strongest supporters and leading proponent of QAnon theories. They're pushing this shit not because they believe it, but to push their agenda. Keep that in mind, and I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to deal a little bit with adrenochrome, which is a horseshit thing, but it's also a legit thing that people need to know about. Hallucinations as hard scientific evidence with the adrenochrome hypothesis of the biogenesis of schizophrenia. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, Dr. Abraham Hoffer, who treated successfully schizophrenia. Now, I want to explain, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a registered nurse. I'm not a nurse practitioner and nothing like that. Not a chiropractor, nothing. Okay, so I don't want to get a bunch of horse shit for that or saying that I'm encouraging people to do this or that. But what you need to understand is Dr. Abraham Hoffer, who was the founder of the adrenochrome theory of the biogenesis of schizophrenia, was also the founder with Dr. Linus Pauling of orthomolecular medicine. Dr. Hoffer founded it as orthomolecular psychiatry. So, working in psychiatrically innovative environment created by the government of Saskatchewan, Canada, Abraham Hoffer and Humphrey F. Osmond enunciated the adrenochrome hypothesis for the biogenesis of schizophrenia in 1952. In 1952. Why am I bringing this up? Because these QAnoners are saying that everybody is sucking adrenochrome out of children to use as a performance enhancement drug. It is not a performance enhancement drug. Doesn't enhance shit. It makes you crazy. It is oxidized adrenaline is what it is. Slightly later, proposing and apparently demonstrating in a double-blind study, proposing and proving in a double-blind study that symptoms of the illness could be reversed by administering large doses of niacin. In a double-blind study, symptoms of the illness, schizophrenia, could be reversed with large doses of niacin. After placing the hypothesis within its ideological framework, the author describes its emergence and elaboration and discusses the empirical evidence brought against it. Hoffer is an idiosyncratic diagnosis, especially his creation of Well, I'm going to get back to this. So let me pause. So here we see the adrenochrome hypothesis of schizophrenia revisited. Why is that? Because Dr. Hoffer treated schizophrenia with two very important nutrients. Of course, all nutrients are very important, but the two that he used to treat schizophrenia were ascorbic acid. Okay, why ascorbic acid? Because it could help stop the oxidation of the adrenaline in theory. Okay, and niacin, because people were found to be deficient in niacin. This paper reviews the current status of the adrenochrome theory of schizophrenia. An account is first given of all the experiments in which adrenochrome was reported to induce psychotomimetic effects in normal volunteers. Then the evidence is presented that adrenochrome may actually occur in the brain as a metabolite of adrenaline in the C2 group of adrenic neurons in the medulla, together with an account of current ideas of the function of these neurons in higher limbic functions. Lastly, the recent evidence is reviewed that the gene for the enzyme glutathione is a very, very important antioxidant made by the body. So if you are lacking glutathione, you're probably oxidizing adrenaline a little bit more than normally. Is defective in people with schizophrenia. This enzyme detoxifies adrenochrome. Glutathione detoxifies adrenochrome. Glutathione, transferase, detoxifies adrenochrome. Too much adrenochrome, you go crazy. So the origins of orthomolecular medicine, Dr. Linus Pauling wrote in 1967. I had happened to read a number of papers published by two psychiatrists in Saskatchewan, Dr. Abraham Hoffer and Dr. Humphrey Osmond. There was something extraordinary about their work. They were giving very large amounts of niacin to schizophrenic patients, as much as 17 grams per day. I was astonished that niacin and ascorbate, meaning niacin and vitamin C, with the striking physiological property when given in very small amounts of preventing death from pellagra and scurvy, should be so lacking in toxicity that 1,000 times the effective daily intake could be taken by a person without any harm. So you have to remember that 1,000 times what's necessary to prevent scurvy and pellagra is fine to take. It isn't going to hurt you really. This meant that these substances were quite different from drugs, which are usually given to patients in amounts not much smaller than the lethal doses. I thought these substances normally present in the human body and required for good health and life deserved a name to distinguish them from ordinary pharmaceuticals, and I decided to call them orthomolecular substances. Now people call them nutraceuticals. Own words, selections from Dr. Humphrey Osmond, remarkable those. So now we see where this came from. Now, I want to explain, all these are linked in the description, and this is important to understand. I'm not going to continue with this article because I want people to follow this. I already did a video. How I became aware of QAnon was somebody made me aware of the adrenochrome theory I already knew about the adrenochrome theory of schizophrenia, but somebody had made me aware of this concept that these people were taking adrenochrome as a performance-enhancing substance. Knowing what I knew about the adrenochrome